look at uh, uh, to the law of enduring negativity. I don't know how many of you know of this small little book. There's this small little book in the Bible. I sometimes you can leave this earth without having read that book. The shortest book in the Bible. I think it is 2 pages or 3 pages. Obadiah. And it's in the Old Testament. It says, "Do not gloat over your brother in the day of his calamity." And in the shortest book of the Old Testament, the prophet Obadiah warns the nation of Edom that their gloating over Israel's troubles must stop. The mockery of God's chosen people is about to hold down his wrath. And ironically, the fathers of each nation were brothers. You know, Jacob, who birthed the Israelites, and Esau, who founded Edom. You know them, our brothers. So, like this tiny book reminds us of the staying power of negative. Focus on this because it affects our lives in many ways. The intentional vendetta of Jacob and Esau grew out of sibling rivalry, which began when Jacob deceptively stole Esau's birthright. We know that. Jacob attempted reconciliation many times later, but Esau's bitterness ran too deep. It lived on in his descendants, who gleefully watched their brothers suffer God's judgment. I've long observed this law of enduring negativity. What I'm doing with the Bible is that as I read, and this is not magical. I just go to a chapter, and I have a study Bible, and in soft copy, and I say in this chapter, give me aspects of leadership. It brings it out, but then I don't leave it there. I try to write my thoughts around it, like I've done here. So I have long observed this law of enduring negativity in our everyday life. Bitterness and other kinds of negative bias to exhibit usually long shelf lives. Many of us will agree this jealousy and bitterness is very predominant in families. In the Subtle of Emotions, there's a book I would want some of you to read. The author writes, people ruminate about events inducing strong negative emotions 5 times. Jen Chege, please don't annotate over the document. In the subtlety of emotions, the author writes, people ruminate about events inducing strong negative emotions 5 times as long as they do about events inducing strong positive ones. So people remember the negative things. People remember how the sister was favored by the father. People remember how the brother was given the better piece of land in the home. Negativity's emotional power over us is immense. And my plea, my sermonette is submit to the law of enduring negativity. And we are told, do not gloat over your brother in the day of his calamity. I think we know that negativity's emotional power over us is immense. In the science of happiness, the authors write, this is another book, a melodrama will move us much more easily than a comedy. If you show subjects in neuropsychological experiments happy and sad pictures, they'll spontaneously respond more strongly to the sad pictures. Another book, Sway, The Irresistible Pull of Irrational Behavior, corroborates. We experience the pain associated with the loss much more vividly than we do the joy of experiencing a gain. For no apparent logical reason, we overreact to perceived losses. So, has the world cautioned us to camp out of negativity? The media certainly focuses on the negative. In Kenya, we are depressed, playing to our captivation with conflict, with tragedy, and the dark side of humanity. I, I, I was so pained. I don't know our deputy president who was impeached. I don't know him as a person, by the way. Never met him face to face. But I was pained by the melodrama that walked with him during the impeachment. But you know how people were riveted on that matter. So I'm saying, has the world conditioned us to camp out on negativity? The media certainly focuses on the negative, playing to our captivation with conflict, tragedy, and the dark side of humanity. Those are the things we want to listen, want to hear about somebody. Some of us are slanderers. I'm not talking about my students in this class, but in this world. Some of us, say things that don't happen. And one of my misfortunes in life is that I call out. If you are in my team and you are slanderers or you are bent on lying, and I call you out because I want truthfulness. And at whatever level, by the way, I call people out. And those who have known me very well, that's who I am. Even at council level, I'll call some statement out and say I will not be a party to this. So positive stories make good email forwards, but rarely make the news. Whatever the reasons for this unbalanced dichotomy, we cannot deny the human tendency to seek and maintain negative feelings. Many times, although I've been now advised lately differently, but anytime Agnes, my wife, in our earlier years of marriage would start off with negative stories. Do you know? Have you heard? I'll tell her, please just shut up. Please stop there. I don't want to be immersed in that negative side. But the other day, a pastor advised me, no, when your wife starts those stories, you listen. Do you know that when she tells you, do you know that our neighbor, that firstborn is not the father is not that the father is a different one. Uh, uh, have you heard that that man has bad tendencies? He has so many wives and what and what. You know, the pastor told me that's the time you should be saying yes. And she goes on. And you know that so and so has a problem, doesn't give birth. You keep saying yes, Don't shut up. That's how it told me. That's how you increase love in the house. I don't know if that is true, but as leaders, we can't force people to be positive all the time. We can inspire them and provide peaks of positive energy, but inevitably their personal fears, biases, and emotions return. I've just had many of you when Dr. Mwaka was asking you, how do you find your classes? It all ran negative. It was pressure, we don't know, we can't sleep, you can't do what. Yeah, and I said, well, this is what I'm going to talk to them about. So Seth Godin, author of Lynchpin, poses some interesting questions in an October 2008 blog post. How long after getting a big promotion does it take for an executive to get at sea, almost forget about it? Why do customers at a truly great four-star restaurant often feel a little bit of letdown after the last course is served? It seems we get bored with the exceptional. Yeah, so when you have a husband or a wife who's doing a PhD and they want to exercise their newfound intellectual prowess, the other spouse gets very bored. After a peak, there is a valley. We ask, is that it? Gordon says people's desire for the new and remarkable forces, a leader, to realize that people will never be satisfied with you. They'll even whine when you give away something for free. I was very surprised with my driver as I finish. The university has gone pay as you eat way. We have cards, KCB cards, which you load and swipe at the canteen, the cafeteria, and we hope to go to the library and other places. My driver, so they gave him a card, and he said, why are they bringing us cards? Where did they get our information from? There is data protection, and in any case, I think it was better for us to go to KCB. We fill the forms ourselves, and we stand on the line. Then we get the cards. I told him, am I running mad? First of all, your data information is with HR, and a notice was given that every one of us will require a card. The easiest way was for the bank to do that, just like we hope Kenya can now provide IDs in a better way. But you see, we are whining. People are never satisfied. They'll even whine when you give away something for free. So I need to adjust to the negative tendencies of my colleagues. I must accept their own lack of trust, an aspect of human nature, as inescapable as a sunrise. Yes, so my plea is that submit to the law of enduring negativity and just be sensitive to it as a leader, as a father, as a mother, as a counselor. Submit to it, as I've said here. And so what I do is I adjust to those negative tendencies and accept their own lack of trust. Even at the university, you're doing so much here and there, and you still hear people complaining. People who have never done anything, by the way, they have never done anything in terms of leadership, but they're busy complaining. So you wonder what is the aspect. Now, don't fight it. Submit, accept. That is an aspect of human nature that we can't escape, just like we can't escape the morning sun coming up. Heavenly Father, we come before you this morning with thanksgiving. We hear you in the book of Obadiah that let us not carry pain, let us not carry hate, let us not gloat over our brothers, but just know that this is a tendency, and the best way is to adjust and accept it and move on. Father, in this class, we have different types of leaders. We have fathers, we have mothers, and different types of leaders. We have men of God, we have executives, we have teachers, we have businessmen across all sectors, Lord. We ask that we stop gloating and just adjust to the negative tendencies and somehow learn that human nature is all about that and is inescapable, as you have told us. And ask for patience and diligence as we move forward and learn that sometimes we have to submit to that power of negativity as we walk on this earth. For I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah. I just want one or two mature reactions. That's what we are supposed to do in integration of faith. But also just to know, how do we feel about it? I know we are 1 hour, half an hour into the lesson, but we will catch up. Can I have one or two reactions? Am I saying something, or did I say it right or correctly?
Lift up your hand, raise your hand if you want to speak, or you open up your mic. All right, who is this opening their mic? Sheila?
You have anybody?
Yes, Sheila Mugwe.
Yes, this has really, thank you, Dr. Mwaka and Prof. You have really helped us, especially to just be able to bear with this thing about people being negative around us. It is actually at every level, family level, work level, and even in the school. Like we were rightfully just talking about the negatives about our course, but this has really encouraged me as a person. It has really encouraged me to know we should not gloat over this, but we should stand and actually just give ourselves shock absorbers to absorb negativity. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you very much.
That one, the mic is on. Masambo?
Oh, good morning, Prof. Thank
I
you
know
for
I know
the.
you're from communication, yes.
Oh, yes.
Good
Thank you
morning,
for
Nathan. How are you?
Fine, Prof. Thank you. Coming from communication, the lesson today is very informative. Prof, one in communication is that we say positive things do not sell. A good story does not sell, and it's only a negative story that sells. That is for business, but truly, people do not like having people who are perpetual complainants, gossipers, and so on all the time. It's, as we say, it's very negative energy. And in a family, if one person is all gossip, Negative gossip about neighbors, about the other person, it draws away the energy and the focus on what people should do. Today's sermon at Prof is very advisory, and we need really to move away from negative things, particularly for intellectuals, for scholars. Negativity is poison. It raises bile all the time and diverts our proper thinking. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Prof allowed this too because they had raised their hands.
Okay.
I understand.
Those two, then
Now
I run back to research. Yeah, okay.
All right. Understand why communication negative stories sell. Pauline, how are you?
I'm fine, Dr. Ari. Thank you, Prof, for the reflection that you've given us this morning. And I'm encouraged as you spoke that not to focus on the negative aspect. And I think you have reminded us this morning how the Bible tells us, especially in the book of Philippians, that we should not be anxious about anything, but we pray. We submit everything to God in prayer and supplication, that even when the negative aspect of the world is thrown at us and everything else is just so negative, we just remain positive. We don't portray the traits of the Israelites as they were grumbling and focusing on the negative side of what they were experiencing, but they could not see the goodness of God in redeeming them. So thank you so much for that reminder.
And as my PhD students, and really, we are trying to sharpen your spiritual standing, but more importantly for me is your intellectual acumen. So note that before Tracy comes in, note that we are being asked to submit to the law of enduring negativity. So you must be conscious about negativity being enduring. The law of enduring negativity, it lasts forever. So you can imagine if you try to engage with it, how much energy you waste on this earth instead of moving forward. Next, Carol.
All right. Tracy, Abraham, I know you wanted to talk. You'll only talk for 30 seconds. Tracy, and Tracy, just less than a minute.
Thanks, Dr. So mine is another slightly controversial. Sorry,
Yeah.
mine is slightly controversial submission. But this week, during the state visit, when the king and queen were over in the country, I was actually the one moderating the dialogue that he had with his visit to State House. But then part of what, and of course, like the Embassy of the Kingdom of Netherlands put that up on their social media platforms. And so one of the bloggers wrote this post on his Twitter and he said, "Tomorrow I'll bring you the exclusive details of a fake Gen Z meeting with the King and Queen of Netherlands." And so he doesn't know me personally. I don't know him personally. I don't know that he knows the rest of the young people personally. But then the next day, he went ahead to put just a myriad of lies and how we're all over 35 and we're all, telling the king and queen that which doesn't exist. And to me, it was just very baffling because against all these negative remarks that he made, one, he wasn't in the room, but two, there was also no cameras in the room to actually record that. So then where he would decide that it was all this negativity that came out of a meeting with the king without actually getting the insights of what actually the conversations with the king and queen were really baffled me and opened my eyes to the fact that we're very attuned to actually speaking negativity, whether we have it confirmed or not, just because it gives us more eyeballs on our profiles and it gives us more likes than talking about positive things. Thank you.
Yeah, and Tracy, you can see the implications. And if you don't submit, and I'm repeating, if you don't submit, you can see how you can even Some people even go and throw a stool at their TV. Yeah, the TV is on, but because of this negativity, if you're not conscious of the law of enduring negativity, so that you have the ability to not gloat and become angry and violent, the worst can happen. Ibrahim, finally.
Okay, good morning.
Morning
I
to you.
must say that this sermon came at the right time to address whatever was going on among some of us. And I must say that negativity is contagious. And I'm a beneficiary of positivity. I was welcomed at this 2 weeks ago, just because everybody I met received me positively. I can now say that I am at par with other students and ready to push on this PhD that for me, I thought it was going to be elusive. So there's a lot of power in positivity. Please, just as Prof has talked about negativity, we need, of course, to shy away from negativity and, of course, embrace positivity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think that's our sermonette. And remember, our sermonettes are focused on your human development, intellectual sharpening of your intellectual acumen, but more importantly, grounding you in scripture. And just knowing that all these things we encounter in life are found in the Bible. Allow me to take you back to our lesson of last week. And quite frankly, I don't know why I'm so excited about what I am doing with you. I feel very enthused about what we are doing, and hope that you are also feeling the same. And I gave you an exercise, which I hope you've done and submitted. Is there anybody who, in doing the exercise, encountered some bolt from the blue, that he or she would like to share with the class? Is there anybody who met that? I would be interested. Some bolt from the blue. You know, we normally say on an afternoon during the week, you are not expecting any rain, then all of a sudden there's a bolt from the skies. There is a lightning, a bolt from the blue. And we normally say, in most of the times, it will find nothing to strike if you are not, your mind is embedded into what the context is all about. It will just pass, that bolt from the blue. So can I have anybody who, as a PhD student, who wants to tell us, in doing this exercise, did you, I don't want to talk about wow moments, but did you strike, did something glitter in your mind? Nafuna, thank you. Helen, talk to us.
Thank you so much, Professor. I was in the process of thinking of my topic. I had a session of training with development communication, and this theory I've been knowing about it all along. adoption theory, innovation theory. But it just came out that I was able to link it to my research study topic, which I'm suggesting. Thank you so much.
Okay, very good. Anybody else? Remember, this is a PhD class. Our minds are diverse. We are not lateral thinkers. Yes.
Those who are typing, you can speak for yourself. If you had the experience. Anyone else who wants to speak? Martin, have you done the assignment? I know some of you are yet to submit, but even if you've not submitted yet, I know you know, today and someone is talking, but we can't hear you.
Oh.
Mary Magute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, now we can hear you.
Yes, we can, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to say good morning to all of you, and it is good for us to meet here once again. As I did that work, one thing which was very clear, I have written problem statements before and the introduction and all that, but one thing which stood out for me is that this kind of assignment opened my understanding that for one to do an introduction and background, you need to think systematically. There are things that are very pertinent that you must address. In the assignment which was posted, there were things which were listed that we need to focus on. And as I tried responding to them, I realized how easy it can be for one to draft whatever you are drafting in terms of your introduction and background, because you know exactly what and where you are headed to. So it is not a blind writing. It is a directed, very conscious writing that helps you not just to walk in the forest looking for a path, but you are clear of where the path is and where you are headed. That was my kind of synthesis of what I was doing. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to recap what we learned and emphasize the importance of introduction to the background of the problem. And I just want to repeat that when I'm looking at the background of your problem, these are the things I would like to see: a brief history, prior research done, the need for the study, and a justification. We must be very clear as you construct that background, looking for in your work. After that, of course,
Prof, we just want to be sure.
Have we lost him?
Yeah, obviously it's common for the internet fluctuation. Yeah, the research problem. One of the easiest way I personally found it I guess all of us used to write a research. Oh, he fell off. So that is internet. When I was with Prof I've taught research, but I think the approach of teaching the problem statement, the research problem, is one of the best way that Prof ever brought to all of us, because people are just writing a case, but they're not really putting it as a problem. So then the question, every time you give the defense, you ask, so what problem? But even the person sometimes asking the defense what is a problem, sometimes they don't even understand that that is a problem. So I think having gone through this class, that's one of the things that once you know what the problem statement is, and all of us understand now the 4 areas of the problem statement, the research problem, then there's another main thing that you need to do is the purpose of this statement, which is very important, and the research question. For me, they're very important for me to address that, the area of writing this. But I think Prof has already gone through the characteristics of how, or the elements of a problem. For example, when you're setting a problem, what elements should you look for, all the way from manifestations to now the significance of that particular problem, and where we should set the problem. I think, Prof, you're back. We were just trying to, we saw you drop off. I think the internet was, so now that you're back, you can pick it up.
Oh yeah, the power went off. So let me reconnect. So it's as I was saying, it's very important for us to stick to the formats we have engaged ourselves with, and that way we can also compete at the center of research methods with the rest of the world. So don't try to imagine things that things that sound like introduction to the background. And please, I have emphasized that there is a difference between a background, an introduction to the background, and an introduction to chapter 1. It sounds obvious, but it isn't. So I would urge all of us to be very, very clear. And that's why we did that assignment. I'll be going over it and giving you detailed feedback, because we are actually trying to construct our chapter 1. Now, we also talked about research questions, and we'll give you this literature later on. But just to make sure that we are on the same page, can we just recap from this write-up what a research statement and research questions are? And I want to invite one of you to read for us.
I can take it, Prof. This is Georgette.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Research statement and research questions. The research statement is a somewhat new concept with dissertations. It is just a statement in which the researcher describes the research and aligns it with the problem statement and purpose statement. It does not have to be anything long and elaborate. The research statement is the statement before the research questions. This is an example of a research statement. The central problem to be researched is the shortage in the nursing field. There are 3 research questions that will guide this research. Cook, 2017. This research statement aligns with the problem statement and purpose statement.
Yeah. I want you to see the relevance of this. It just serves to cause a bridge between your research questions, your problem statement, and your purpose statement. So let's go to research questions, which is the main thing you need to learn.
I can read.
Go on. Yeah, go on.
Research questions. Again, the research question is usually the first step in any research project. The research question is the primary interrogation point of your research, and it sets the pace of your work. The research question focuses on the research, determines the methodology and hypothesis, and guides all stages of inquiry, analysis, and reporting. The research question is defined as the questions asked to address the problem raised in the problem statement. Calabrese, 2009. Furthermore, the research question orients everything the researcher does with the study. The research question A is precise, B covers exactly the issue you wish to address, and C indicates how you will create your answer. Brandt, 2004. The research questions should align with the problem statement, sub-issues, and the purpose statement, sub-objectives. See Chapter 9 on research alignment. Developing the research questions is one of the hardest parts of starting the dissertation for doctoral students. It is important to make sure your research questions address these characteristics. A, they must be important to make your research question, they must be precise. B, they must cover the problem you want to address. And C, they must indicate how you will create the answer. Creswell, 2009, Rudestam and Newton, 2007, Creswell, 2013, Singh, 2020.
Yeah. Look at this, the research question. For me, A is a must. So we must be parsimonious. We must be exact. Your research question should cover the problem you want to address, because you are trying to address a problem. So you must give us research questions that talk of how you're going to address that problem. Let me just give you an example. Yesterday, I was with one of my PhD students. Let me give you an example of research questions. Let me try to look for this so that we can bring it out. Yeah. I want us to pay attention to this. This is work from one of my students I'm supervising. And look at, first of all, we struggled with the topic with her, but I want to give you this as the title. And I want you to really pay attention to this. This is her topic. This is the topic. And we argued almost quarreled until we agreed on the topic. And that's what I'm going to do with you starting today as I wind up what should be in your chapter 1. Look at that topic. And Tracy, you still have to read for us that topic.
It's this AI adoption.
Yeah.
Okay. Impact of AI adoption on content quality and audience engagement in Nairobi's digital media farms.
Yeah, that's the topic. And I'm her supervisor because of the little expertise I have around AI. So AI adoption and content quality and audience engagement. And this being her topic, I want you to see, and let me carry this forward. This being her topic, look at the research questions. Look at the research questions here. That being her topic, that's the topic. Look at the research questions. From what you have just described, let me blow this up. Yeah. Can look at the topic, everybody, and look at the research question. The topic is about impact of AI adoption on content quality and audience engagement in Nairobi's digital media farms. The topic is there, so we want to do research questions. Can somebody else help Osogo in doing for us research questions?
I can read, Prof.
Yes, please.
Impact of AI adoption on content quality and audience engagement in Nairobi's digital media farms. Research questions. What is the current level of AI adoption among content creation firms in Nairobi? How do government regulations affect AI implementation in the content creation industry? What is the relationship between AI adoption and firm performance in the content creation sector? And what do government regulations moderate? Do government regulations moderate the relationship between AI adoption and firm performance?
Yeah. So those are the research questions. Note that these research questions rotate around the topic. We are going to study the impact of AI adoption. I had done a very small problem statement as we were discussing. I was trying to relate the problem statement to the research questions. So can we just look at this? Because we have said it must be precise. Number two, it must relate to the problem statement. Just this is not a problem statement complete. This is just an extract. Can somebody read for us that?
I can read.
Go ahead.
Problem statement. While AI adoption offers substantial benefits to the content creation industry in Nairobi, the interplay between AI implementation, government regulations, and farm performance remains underexplored. The lack of empirical studies examining how regulatory frameworks influence the effectiveness of AI adoption presents a gap in understanding the optimal conditions for leveraging AI in this sector. Additionally, concerns regarding data privacy, intellectual property rights, and ethical considerations necessitate a comprehensive analysis of how regulations impact AI-driven initiatives and consequently farm performance.
Thank you. And we are trying, why am I bringing this all up? I want you to see the link between your research questions and the problem statement. So look at your research questions. What is the current level of adoption among content creation firms? How do government regulations affect AI implementation? What is the relationship between AI adoption and farm performance? And do government regulations moderate the relationship between AI adoption and farm performance? I am emphasizing this. Many times I look at your problem statement and it does not speak to your research questions. And at PhD level, this is what then gives us a very weak thesis. Remember, this is not a complete problem statement. We have not put in citations and the statistics and so on, but I just carried the import of this problem statement. And when you read this, you see that the research questions are speaking to that. Simon, come in.
Thank you, Prof. And sorry for interrupting.
No, not at all. Yeah.
I'm quite lost when it comes to the element of quality, because I've seen that in the title, in the topic. But I was struggling if you go down where you've here.
Yeah.
It's there in the title. However, in the research questions, I'm not sure I'm seeing anything that touches on quality. Thank you.
Okay. Good question, Sam. Look, Simon, read us research question number 3.
So it says, what is the relationship between AI adoption and farm performance in the content creation sector?
Yeah. Performance is a function of quality. So when we get into the sub-questions, when we get into the tool itself, the questionnaire, we shall ask aspects of quality. You know,
Okay,
farm performance, you get it?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, and of course, the farm that has quality aspects, content quality will outperform the others, isn't it?
Correct.
Good. I want us to, today, I don't want, because I'm wrapping up aspects of chapter 1, and now I'll be inviting you to give me your topic and your area before we go to literature review, then research methodology, chapter 3. I'm inviting insightful thinking here. Nathan Masambu.
Prof, thank you. I'm struggling to see where the audience is in the questions.
Audience engagement.
Yes, sir.
Audience engagement. This is marketing. This is a student from School of Business doing marketing. So where is audience engagement? Audience engagement will be a function of farm performance. Yeah, that's why the Nation newspaper says it has the highest readership, for example. Are you seeing where audience engagement comes in?
I get it, Prof. Thank you.
Yeah. And if it is a digital platform, of course, we shall see the likes and dislikes and what the hits that blog or that article has attracted. Good. I like those questions. I like that. Can we agree that our research questions will be precise and they will be derived from the problem statement or statement of the problem and reflect on the purpose? Now, let's read this. Somebody read for us. And this is not complete. These were my notes as a supervisor to my student. Let's just go. I'm trying to distinguish her work and this other work. Can somebody read that purpose of the study? Anybody who's ready?
I can read.
Okay, good. Shayla.
This study aims to investigate the relationship between AI adoption, government regulations, and farm performance in Nairobi's content creation industry. By examining how regulatory frameworks influence the implementation and outcomes of AI technologies, the research seeks to provide insights into the conditions that optimize farm performance while ensuring compliance with legal and ethical standards.
Yeah. So when I look at your research questions, they also must speak to that purpose. And when I look at these research questions, I have no problem. The demographics are captured. Nairobi and content creators. But I can see all these aspects picked up in these questions. Ladies and gentlemen, there must be, if you're going to write a meaningful proposal for consultancy, or if you're going to write a good thesis, you can see the research questions must speak to the purpose statement, must speak to the problem statement. So these are not separate things just being put into chapter 1. They are related. It is interesting, when I was discussing with Rhoda, she's called, I think she's Rhoda. No, Roslyn Opondo. When I was discussing with her, I asked her, she had written 5 research hypotheses. Look, if I look at number 1, I don't see how you can hypothesize. I don't see how you are going to investigate a correlation or a causal relationship. And I want you to affirm what I'm saying at your level. So what is the current level of AI adoption? It's not talking about a relationship. So you cannot hypothesize that there is. And what I saw, she had written, for every research question, she had written a hypothesis. You can see number 1 did not hold. Number 2, how do government regulations affect AI implementation in the content creation industry? Here, I can establish a relationship, a correlation. I can establish a hypothesis. What is the relationship between AI adoption and farm performance? Here, I can hypothesize and say there is no relationship or there is a relationship between AI adoption and farm performance. So I dissuaded her yesterday, very late in the evening. By the way, I wanted to emphasize something around patience with your supervisors and persistence. Sometimes you have to understand your supervisor well. And sometimes if you see your supervisor is not getting to you in good time, you have to ask yourself, how do I get this supervisor? So for example, yesterday, I had told Opondo to come to Athi River in my office because we needed to discuss this concept paper with her. And I told her, come at 1 o'clock. I was having a council meeting. I thought it would be end at 1. But we had new members of council, so we had induction up to 1 o'clock. Then the council meeting started. We finished at 6. She was sitting there between 1 and 6. She kept on sending a message, do I leave? I know if you are caught up, do I leave? And I wasn't replying. But when I left the council meeting at 6, we went to my office. And because of being considerate, I went into session with her from 6 to 7. Just being a human being, somebody has sat there from 1 to 6. Those nuances around supervision, you have to bear with each other if there is good faith. So I just wanted to raise that as part of my mentoring you in terms of supervision. And so I did discuss with her these aspects I'm discussing. Then I told her tomorrow, which is today, at 8, my office will establish a Zoom meeting with her for us to go through this. What am I doing? I'm trying to make up to my student who has shown interest, but also patience. So you also must reciprocate. And this is everything I keep telling my colleague lecturers. The difference between us and these students is just years. Soon they'll be doctors and professors like us. But I'm talking about patience. Now, looking at these research questions, I persuaded her that number one is horrible. Not horrible. Number one, you cannot establish a hypothesis. And now I'm not talking to Opondo, I'm talking to the class. Don't try and force a hypothesis where it just can't be. And I want you to see. Number 2 and 3, yes. Number 4, do government regulations moderate the relationship between AI adoption and farm performance? When I saw that, I told her, I hope when I see your conceptual framework, I will see government as the moderating variable. Yes. And so these are the hypotheses I suggested. I said, in this study, we are going to have just 2 hypotheses. And I want you to see why. We're going to have just 2 hypotheses. I want you to see why. I set up those 2 hypotheses. I would like somebody to read for us those hypotheses and note I'm deriving them from my research questions. I'll also want you to argue with me why I have not been convinced about establishing a hypothesis around research question number 3, but we'll come to that later. Somebody read for us.
You can go ahead.
Yeah. Yes, Elizabeth.
Research hypothesis. Hypothesis 1. There is a significant positive relationship between AI adoption and farm performance in Nairobi's content creation industry. Hypothesis 2. Government regulations have a significant moderating effect on the relationship between AI adoption and farm performance.
Yeah. So those ones, she had set up, in fact, she has set up 5 hypotheses. I can pull out her concept paper, but we convinced each other these are the ones. Now, tell me why I did not set up. Let me try to, I want to do something here. Yeah. Yeah, this is better. Tell me why I did not set up a hypothesis for 3. And there can be a hypothesis. Remember, this is a PhD class.
Maybe I can try, Prof.
Yeah, please. There's no right or wrong answer. Go on, Pauline.
I think because hypothesis 1 has merged, or rather research question 3 is merged into hypothesis 1 because it talks about there being a significant positive relationship. So the relationship aspect is captured in that.
I am listening.
I'm saying hypothesis 1 talks about there is a significant positive relationship between AI adoption and farm performance in Nairobi's content creation industry. So this particular hypothesis, I think, has captured the
research
question number 1, but somehow it also integrates the research question number 3.
No, has it captured? I thought number 1, we were very clear, will remain a research question and we shall collect descriptive data around the current level. Let me put it this way. Maybe I didn't put the question right, Elizabeth. I'm saying this. Why have I merged? Let me put it this way. Why have I merged research question 2 and 4 into hypothesis 2? So I didn't have to have a hypothesis for 2, a hypothesis for research question 3, a hypothesis for research question 4. I think that's better. That's what I'm trying to ask. And I'm not talking to Elizabeth, I'm talking to all of us.
Sorry, Dr. That was Pauline speaking.
Yeah, okay. Pauline, can somebody else come up? We are going to do these things. We are going to establish, very good. Kiplagat, please, go ahead.
Sorry, Prof, if I may take you back a bit in the topic.
Yeah.
I stand corrected. I think in the last class, there was this element that we are to do global. When you are doing the topic, we approach it from the global context, so that at least the final approach, as we are coming down or narrowing down to, let's say, a zone, maybe in this scenario, let's say Nairobi now. So that as we are pitching it, we are trying to get a global audience. We don't just delve straight on to Nairobi, but we let's say, approach it, we contextualize it globally. I'm saying this because as I was drafting or looking at my topic, the one that I presented, I was struggling because my main focus was to touch on an ASOL area. And I was really struggling not to delve straight to the ASOL area, but I approach it from the sub-Saharan context, the way at least you had guided on the previous class.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, I like that question. Is that Kiplagat? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Let us be very careful at PhD level. When I tell you scoping, you must be very careful when I say I don't want to see a topic that ends in Kawangware sub-county in Kenya. That is very different from this topic. And I'm really happy you brought this up. Because this is impact of AI adoption and content quality and audience engagement in Nairobi's digital media farms. Are you seeing the difference? In Nairobi's digital media farms. So it is not engagement in digital media farms in Nairobi. Are you seeing Nairobi's? I don't know whether I'm communicating this, and I really love that. Kiplagat, thank you for bringing up. So if we are talking about ASAL region, in the ASALs, it is not taking us into a small demographic scope. No, it's different. And I want everybody to be convinced about this. That Nairobi is not Nairobi in Nairobi. It is in Nairobi's digital. We are talking about digital media farms. So it qualifies. And when we go to the limitation and delimitation, we are going to justify. We are going to justify why did you pick on digital media farms in Nairobi? That's a very insightful question. Kiplagat, come back and tell me, come back on this platform, tell me what is Ayiro saying and how is that different from what you had just asked?
Maybe if I get you well, Prof. Previously, I think what you were... Sorry?
Who is that? Who is that speaking?
This is Kiplagat.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Prof, it's like we ideally the topic we should just not delve straight to let's quote unquote the Kawangware space, but if we are to talk about the several Nairobis, and let me contextualize it to my topic. If I'm talking about ASALs, not an ASO area, let's say Turkana, if I talk about ASOLs, so you know ASOLs, there are quite a number. Somalia, there's an ASOL in Somalia. You can equally get one in Ethiopia, which you can map it, and probably the findings would equally, I would say, can easily be applied in the various ASOLs within the continent or within the global space. Thank you.
Yeah, I really love that question. Victoria, you want to say something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Prof, for giving me a chance. And this is how I would attempt to answer that. When I look at the research question number 2 and the research question number 4, I will answer it in 2 parts. The first thing is that, I don't know that it's the right word I'm using, but I can see similar variables. Number 1 is the government regulations as one. Number 2 is the AI adoption. I'm trying to link it with the AI implementation. Just before I also continue, when I read the research questions the first time, I was actually going to ask, is number 2 the same as number 4? But I think as I now I got to answer, it is becoming clear. So there is I was talking about number 2, AI adoption and AI implementation. And then now the third one is the farm's performance. So when you look at hypothesis number 2, it is looking at all the 3, because I'm also thinking I'm going to the questionnaire now, because the research questions will guide the questionnaire. I'm looking at how we frame the questions in number 2 and number 4. You'll find that when we come to number 4, the questions will even be lesser, because most of them will have been answered in number 2. It will be like a continuation or something like that. I think that is all I have. The other, oh my God. Please excuse me. Thank you.
Okay. Moses, Lucy? Your hand is up? Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I'm trying to understand, and I'm wondering about the consistency of the statements. In the topic, we see Nairobi's digital media farms, and in the questions, in the research questions, I see content creation industry. Aren't those different entities? And then you look at the third question, it talks about content creation sector. So what is a sector in this context? Is it part of the farm, or is it part of the economy? You know? And yeah, so where is the consistency? You go to the hypothesis again. It talks about content creation industry. So does that how does that define or differentiate between digital media farms and content creation industry? Because in my own perspective, this could be different different things altogether. So is this study looking at the same things in its final analysis?
And
then
that's
on the other hand,
sorry.
Prof, I'm wondering, I don't know about the what the others think, is that these questions, these research questions, like I see them as standalone studies. You can generate a lot of information from each and every one of them, and I find them too broad to be studied in one particular study. So
Moses,
ideally,
yeah,
defined, delimited, and just to ensure that every other thing, the variables are very, very clear, so that the researcher is guided on exactly what is to be studied. Otherwise,
wonderful.
Thank you so much for sharing.
I mean, that is my intention. That's what thinking at PhD level is all about. So, and I've had very interesting Kiplagat's query and what we have just heard from, what was that, Moses, really encouraged me, because now I can see we have a purpose to think at another level. And we are going back to our lecture notes and ask ourselves, what should a research question be? So when we talk about being precise, this is what Moses is raising. When I have to convince Kiplagat that this is different, that this study is about Nairobi's digital media farms, is not about digital media farms in Nairobi. So actually this study is talking about digital media farms. And if we are able to see that, I'll be very happy. I'll have moved you from master's to PhD level thinking. Peter Wasike.
Thank you, Prof. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm Manuel. Actually, I'm in hospital, but I'm still following.
Oh my, Ole.
Yes. So I have looked at the question that you have asked. First of all, let me respond to my colleague about the question looking broad. I think this is a broad study that may generate further studies later on. So I don't know whether it's a problem with that. Maybe you'll guide us. Then whether we can be allowed to look.
And maybe just a minute, Wasike. Yes. I had forgotten to react to that Moses statement. You know, a research question, like number 1, is what will generate your sub-questions for your questionnaire. So I hope you know that when we are saying what is the current level of AI adoption, we will go into the questionnaire and ask questions around the current level of AI adoption. And it is within those questions that we shall very deliberately walk around the variables, the variables of our study. And in that way, limit it. So I would be unfair. And I think, Moses, we would be unfair if we think that these research questions are too broad. That's not for us to really worry about, because the research question will generate sub-items which we call the items in the questionnaire. Go on, Peter Wasike.
Yes, that is partly what I had observed. And on the relationship between question number 2 and the number 4, for me, I'm looking at it from the perspective of variables, as you've said, and I can see government will be an independent variable on both, in both. Therefore, I don't know how you can be able to, unless maybe you'll guide us on how to create these variables or to identify the variables, because I think that's going to be very critical in this engagement. Thank you.
Yeah. So the independent variables, will be AI adoption, the things that cause farm performance, the things that give us the dependent variable, the outcome, the farm performance. So yes, government regulation, but we know that the independent variables are around AI adoption, and one of the things that will cause farm performance is government regulation. So that will just be one aspect of the independent variables, in other words, the drivers of AI adoption to enhance farm performance.
Prof, my hand is up because something is burning on that variable, which I'd like to challenge. And probably the only time I ever get to challenge you and go scot-free. I'd like to throw a Pandora's box. This is William Decker. Government regulations, I see that's quite as an accident that shouldn't have even made it to the variables. Because in my uninformed opinion, it doesn't answer any part of questions that will make it to answer the topic itself. So how I see the topic is impact of AI adoption on content quality and audience engagement. So there are three variables there. There is a constant one. So AI adoption, does it affect content quality? Yes or no? If it does affect content quality, then do we have a higher audience engagement or a lower audience engagement? So then I see three main questions in this order. The very first one is, what is the current level of AI adoption among content firms? Because we are assuming either they are adopting AI or not, so we'd like to find out. Should we find out that they're actually adopting AI, does that significantly impact the level of quality, content quality? And then, so that should be our second question, which for sure I don't see us trying to find out. So it means within our topic, there's one variable we haven't set out to actually find out on the ground. And then the third one is, so now we found out if they're adopting AI, and then it's either impacting or not impacting content quality. Then we go to the third one, which is audience engagement. So what is the level of audience engagement for firms that have adopted AI actually? And so that will actually create the second hypothesis, which will be there's a significant relationship between AI adoption, firms that adopt AI, and the level of audience engagement. And so eventually we want to probably come up with a policy that if you want to engage audiences better, probably you need to adopt AI because it will improve the level of quality. But along the research, we probably are going to come across additional anecdotes that probably the reason why these entities are not adopting AI, there's government interference or regulations, etc. But at the very onset, I think it will be so presumptive for us to already put this the government regulations part as an hypothesis, and it's also part of the questions, yet directly on the actual topic, it doesn't come out strongly. On the topic, we have three things that we need to find out. AI being adopted, does it affect quality? And that quality, does it affect how audience engage? My thinking, though. Thank you.
Very good, very good. And I'm just excited this morning because those are the perspectives we are supposed to have. By the way, government regulation is so critical. What happened in the US when TikTok was banned? You see, it's just a regulation, and everything else then doesn't stand. In Kenya now, I hope you know we have our AI policy is in draft form. AI policy 2025 is actually in draft form. I have the draft. And it is going to have phenomenal influence on adoption and farm performance. So it is not far-fetched. That's what I'm saying. It's not far-fetched. It's like security. I tell people, we don't give recognition and, of course, preference to our forces, the security forces in the country, particularly the police, whom we encounter as citizens. But do you know that everything operates on the premise that the country is secure? So the policeman, the police service is so critical, but look at how we assume it. If there was insecurity now, nothing will go on, and we know it. We know what happened when we had post-election violence in Kenya. Nothing happens. So when I see the way security forces are treated, particularly the Police Service Commission in terms of remuneration and accommodation and all those, I get extremely concerned because we don't know that everything actually hinges on that. Everything. That you walk out of your house because the country is secure.
Prof, if that's quite a useful anecdote that you have there about even the policies that are coming up, then in that case, and considering we are already having two questions actually on government regulations and even a whole hypothesis on it, could it then come back at the actual naming of the topic so that it's more of a policy kind of evaluation, the impact of government regulations on AI adoption and content quality? Because as it stands, I would think that adding the government-related questions make for a separate topic, however much it's an important aspect to discover. But if I saw it then on the main topic, then I would actually know from the onset, yeah, this researcher is also going to find out about, or is largely going to find out about the impact of government regulations on adoption and the impact on content quality or engagement.
That's fine. So I'm saying that's, by the way, William is not gambling with far-fetched ideas. What he's trying to do is engage us in how we shall formulate our topic so that it speaks to our research questions and vice versa. I think that's the major point. And it will be up to you to decide, this is my study and these are my research questions, and you can see they speak to my topic and I have derived them from the problem statement. I think that that's the level of argument and engagement we should be at PhD level. Victoria? Victoria, are you there? If not,
Yes,
Charity?
can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you, yes.
Yes, thank you for another chance. I'm sorry I coughed. Now, just to finish on what I was talking about before I go to my question, is that now the adoption or implementation in number 2, then we look at the effect will be the content creation, and in number 4, the effect will be the farm performance, and then the overall effect then will be how do they affect the audience engagement. Is it an upward or a downward kind of effect? Now I go to my questions, Professor. My question was on question number 1 and why it's not a hypothesis. My question really comes on the issue of when you say, what is the current level? I'm thinking when you talk about levels, you're talking about percentages or rates or something like that. So why then does it not form a hypothesis? And then number 2 is you had talked previously on when it is quantitative, then it is you use words like explaining, and when it's qualitative, you use words like exploring. When I look at your research questions, why are we not having those words? Exploring, examining, explaining, and is it okay to have them like this?
Okay,
I think I
very
would
good.
prefer them like this.
Okay, Victoria, thank you. Again, I'm not talking to Victoria, I'm talking to the class. Look at research question number 1. What is the current level of AI adoption among these farms? That is just descriptive. You'll walk into the farm and you'll have a questionnaire. And that questionnaire will tell you what is the level. 50% of the journalists
don't have a choice.
Please,
Sasa unajua yule anafunza research ni vice chancellor mwenyewe.
Hussein.
Mdosi mwenyewe.
For him.
Sasa utakosaje my friend?
Our people, where are the coordinators, course coordinators?
Several people on the mic, so I'm trying to mute all of them.
Okay. Yeah, now, Victoria, number 1 cannot be, you cannot generate a hypothesis. There is no relationship. There is no relationship when you say what is the current level? What is the current level of AI adoption? So you're just going to look at the level, and that is descriptive. But look at number 2. Let's take number 3. Look at number 3. What is the relationship between AI adoption and farm performance? There is a search for correlation. There is a search for a causal relationship, cause and effect. So you set up a hypothesis. I want you to be very careful. I talked about explore and explain. We have to be very careful that that is at design level. And I'm glad you raised that up. So it cannot be here. And by the way, this study particularly, some of you should already be telling me that this is a student who is going to do quantitative study. This is somebody who is a positivist just by looking at those research questions. And maybe they will try and reluctantly pull in a very small bit of qualitative if they want, but they can also not just want from the research questions that I'm seeing. Charity.
Thank you, Prof. Mine is on the the topic.
You're cutting. Can't hear you.
Because when I was formulating, okay, let me say it again. Maybe my table. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead. You're lost.
Okay, I was saying mine is on the topic because I don't know. Then maybe it's my internet. Let me just try a last time. So I was saying mine was on the topic that you have presented there. And when I was formulating my topic, I was torn between using the word effect or impact. Because an impact means a long-lasting effect. And in this case, what I'm asking is, does the student require to conduct a longitudinal study? And is it acceptable at the master's and PhD level, considering the time limit of those programs? Yes, that was my question.
Okay, yeah. Charity, remember we talk about longitudinal and cross-sectional. And we are looking at, when I talk about the impact of AI adoption on content quality and audience engagement, I don't need to do a longitudinal study. I can walk in and walk out in a cross-sectional study. So that word impact is relative in this case. And at PhD level, you must have a mindset to justify. So if AI has been with us for the last 4 years, why can't somebody walk into a farm and see the impact? It is not the duration of your study. It is the longevity of the phenomenon you are studying. Has it been there long enough for us to look at the impact? Are we together? So that's what I expected a PhD student to note here. What is this impact we are talking about? So you don't have to, this AI adoption or AI presence has been with us maybe now for 5 years and more, but machine language has been with us. So when I walk into this farm, I'll do a cross-sectional study by looking at into this farm, how much adoption is there, audience engagement and performance. I can get the data around there and then talk about the impact of AI, considering that it has been with us for 5 years? Yes? So that's the reasoning. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to go back. I just pulled in these rodders, but I hope you are learning something that to establish hypothesis, you must have framed a research question that is actually indicating a relationship between variables. That is clear. And usually, I would advise most of you don't go beyond 3 hypotheses for your study. But I wanted to mention something here. Look at the objectives of this student. By the way, this is work of one of you, a student. Look at the objectives. Look at these objectives. And silently look at those objectives yourself. Looking at that, and again I go to, Vivian, who this, at PhD level, when you see this, it is within a very different context to explore the moderating role of government regulations. So at this level, I don't expect you to have a mind that this then is about qualitative. No, to explore. So I expect you to see this from a context where you want to evaluate, establish a relationship. So it's very different. Look at this. If I go to my thesaurus, look at the word explore. So it has a different meaning here. You see, to explore, to study, to investigate, to survey, to discover. That is under traveling, but under the search, under research, to study, to investigate, to survey. So you can't jump onto that and say, this is a qualitative aspect. No, what you're going to do is to study the moderating role, or to investigate the moderating role of government regulations in the relationship between adoption and farm performance. Now, why am I bringing up objectives? Listen carefully. All of you, whether you are quantitative or qualitative, I would want you to state the objectives for me. Either way, I would want those objectives converted into research questions. If you are qualitative, then you stop. Your journey will have ended with research questions. If you are quantitative, then you search to establish a hypothesis. So it is just logical sequential thinking that in your proposal development, after the purpose statement, can you give me the objectives coming from the purpose, and then convert those objectives into research questions? And if you are a qualitative researcher, you end there and now go into other aspects of the proposal. If you are quantitative, then you start to look for the hypothesis. Caroline, Teti.
Sure. Prof, I just wanted to come back to, sorry, it's bringing me back to
No,
the
no,
research
no, no apologies. No apologies.
Yeah,
Just go ahead.
it's bringing me back to the research questions argument, and I can see, the dissonance that we are getting out of the meaning in the topic, the articulation of research questions and the statement of objectives, still comes at two different levels. And one, I agree, I agree with William that because government regulations is already 50% of the research questions that we are asking, and because we are also saying that performance encompasses content quality and audience engagement, those two expressions, in my opinion, should be clearly spelled out in the topic. Which therefore, in my contribution, I would say this topic should read something like the impact of government engagement on AI adoption and the performance of digital Nairobi's digital farms, something like that. But the performance of farms, AI adoption, and government regulations for me are critical statements there. Then we come to the objective statement. And when we come to the objectives, I see that we are talking about content creation farms. And when we go back to the topic is talking about digital farms. And I see that the student is likely going to be struggling in providing clarity in meaning in those two descriptions. Otherwise, we need an operational definition for those two terms because content creation is not synonymous with digital media farms.
Very good.
So I think that for me is my contribution and maybe something that you might want to discuss with the student as you talk through her paper.
I agree. And I'm glad that this has stimulated that kind of debate. I'm glad you talked about operational definitions because I asked her to consider this. Again, we are not going off. This is a PhD class, so I can meander as much as I want. But look at this. You have talked about operational definitions. This. And you wanted her to operationalize what?
So if we are having content creation industry, I think, again, I imagine that the semantics that we use within the paper is quite critical in audience understanding of your train of thought. So at one point, we are talking about digital media farms and then content creation farms. And now we have content creation industry. Like all those terms need to be operationalized in her list of definitions so that we know what she means when she's talking about each of them.
Could you read me that, please? Just read me her operational definition of content creation industry.
The content creation industry is the sector comprising firms and individuals involved in producing digital content, including text, images, videos, and interactive media for various platforms and audiences.
Yeah. And so,
should we then, in that definition, expand it and say our operational definition for content creation industry will include digital media farms? Because I was also having an engagement with a colleague in terms of, artificial intelligence and digital, digital space or digital industry. And there's a problem in the way people understand those two, and the likelihood of using them interchangeably is quite risky. So we want to make sure that audiences are very specific in focus for what the student is talking about and not, conflating meanings as they read the paper.
Very good. That's exactly the motive and intention of what we are doing now. we are not going to teach you chapter 1 and, dictate notes for you to copy and then memorize and regurgitate. And at the end of the day, you still struggle with writing your proposal. So we are very deliberate, or I am very deliberate, to engage you in this way so that even now, what you have just raised, I hope for the whole class, they are now conscious of the vital presence of operational definitions in your chapter 1 and what you're going to say. Obviously, I have problems because I've asked her to give me citations and sources. Whose definition are you giving us? So if you are doing AI adoption, somebody will say, but you are adapting this from who? Who are you adapting this from? So it could be from like Kate's, it could be from Kate's 2024, like that. Kate's 2024 must put there. It is not your definition. Hey, you are citing somebody's definition that you met maybe in your, not maybe, in your theoretical framework, in your literature review and theoretical framework, you found this was a very good definition of AI adoption. Somebody could ask you, this artificial intelligence that you're talking about, is it who? It is who? Who are you talking about? Are you talking about Onyango's definition? Onyango 2007? Who are you talking about? So you'd have to show that. So in giving operational definitions, remember, it is not you. Haujafikia. So you would have to be very careful and not masquerade as a researcher yet. Right. Let's go back. This was, we were actually looking at, let me go back to where we were before I came here. Just give me a minute to search for where we were. Just give me a minute. All right. Remember where we were as we engage with ourselves. We were talking about research questions. And so I went to these students' work. So they must be precise. They must cover the problem you want to address. And I think we have had quite a reasonable feeling of how we should do that. And they must indicate how you will create the answer. How you'll create the answer. So if we are talking about AI adoption and farm performance, in those objectives, we must have objectives that show us the relationship between adoption and performance, the level of adoption, and also the influence of other external factors like government, like finance, like training, and so on and so forth. So they must indicate. So I want this to be very clear when you are doing your research question. And I hope the point has been driven home that actually your research question will be vomited from your problem statement. And we have argued about what should be there and do these research questions speak to the topic. I think William put it very well, and the lady who has just spoken before. So I'll be sending you these notes, but just note this. Note this. I expect when you bring this out to me, that this is what I hope to see. You will prepare a declarative statement you will develop the research questions. And this is perhaps the most important aspect for all of us in this class, most important aspect, that you will write and align the research questions with the purpose statement and objectives, and then write and with the problem statement, picking the sub-issues in the problem itself. I think we have spent enough time. For qualitative studies, listen carefully, for qualitative studies, and I'll be sending you these notes for not just for exam, but for reference when you are writing your own research questions. State the research questions the study will answer and describe the phenomenon to be studied. So what are you studying here? You are studying AI adoption and farm performance. So the research questions provide guidance for the data that will be collected to answer the research questions. They do not identify the instruments. Very important. Now, for quantitative studies, for quantitative studies, these ones, state the research questions the study will answer, identify and describe the variables, and state the hypothesis. So for quantitative studies, we are talking about this. For quantitative, we are talking about identify and describe the variables and state the hypothesis using the appropriate format for the specific design and statistical analysis. I hope as my PhD students, you're beginning to note that if you are not able to convince yourself, if you are not getting the required level of familiarity between the introduction to the background of the problem statement, the purpose, the research question stroke, objective stroke, hypothesis, then we are not yet there. And please make sure that when we send you these notes, you take time. And for me, all the time is about alignment. Alignment. So make sure, please, I repeat, make sure the purpose statement and objectives align with the problem statement and the sub-issues, which are actually your research questions around which we shall generate our questionnaire. And this section is usually a minimum of 2 or 3 paragraphs or 1 to 1.5 pages. So when I after your problem statement, when I see the purpose, the research questions, research objectives, research questions, hypothesis, I don't want to go into pages and pages. We shall be precise. Ladies and gentlemen, we are, and I hope you're walking with me. I am dissecting, deciphering chapter 1. In chapter 1, you'll have your topic. The chapter 1 is about the introduction to the research, the total introduction, but 1.1 will be introduction to the background of the problem. 1.2 will be the problem statement or statement of the problem. 1.3 will be the purpose. And then we will have the objectives, research questions, and depending on whether you are quant or qual, hypothesis. That is very important. The next one would be, of course, rationale and significance, and then delimitation and limitation, and then theoretical and conceptual framework. I am tempted to talk about this now. I know that we shall do this in chapter 2, according to your graduate handbook. But I find it very hard, and I've told my colleagues in Daystar, I find it very hard for me to wrap up chapter 1, and I'm allowed to talk about the conceptual framework without making reference to the theoretical framework. Now you're getting in the spiritual realm. You are in a realm where I don't understand, because you cannot conceptualize your variables without reference to the theory. So I'm persuaded, and go to Moi, go to Kenyatta, go to whatever, Harvard. We are all persuaded that under chapter 1, you must talk to us about your conceptual framework. You must talk to us about your theoretical framework, and then show us how it gives birth to your conceptual framework. We are not asking you to expound that theory. No, but just tell us, is it the chaos theory that you'll adapt, and why the chaos theory is appropriate, and show us the variables that the chaos theory spits at you for you now to do your conceptual framework. So I would like us just 10 minutes, then I'll stop. Not 10, let me be honest. 15 minutes, then I'll stop. Very briefly, and I am not going into the details. So let us not think, why is he teaching conceptual framework and theoretical framework, and he has not yet done the literature review. I am saying next week, we shall start with the literature review, and I'm giving you the assignment. You're going to read the whole of chapter 7 in your course text. Because that is very important. We are starting literature review. You'll go through it again. I know we attached it. You'll go through it again. And then we will deal in detail with the theoretical and conceptual framework there. Nathan, you have something to add?
Yes, Prof. This in reference to the survey we did about choosing our topics and the approach. I will be very happy at this level before we go too far by next week to know whether the approach I've taken, if it's is aligned to the topic I have selected, or there are problems, and if I can be guided. So as we move, I will be building up my chapter 1.
Yeah, so I hope this class is aware that I am using what is called dispersion pedagogy. I'm wandering around, but now you'll begin to see, oh my God, so we have covered all aspects of chapter 1. And because we have covered all aspects of chapter 1, Ayiro wants my draft chapter 1.
Yes.
So Nathan, what I want of you as an assignment, apart from re-looking at literature review for next Saturday, was that, and that will just take us that Saturday. We will have finished literature review. And now we shall try to package your chapter 2. How would you write your literature review? I don't want to get into the mechanics of literature review, but I want to give you the practice of constructing your literature review.
Yes, Prof.
On that Saturday. So there's no, but what I also want from you, and I was going to say this because I'm wrapping up the lesson, is each one of us, I don't want more than 1 page, will give me the intended topic, underline intended. Wengine mmeanza kukorogea hiyo topic, mnaweka Y12, Y16, binding wire, mnakoroga 1 wheelbarrow with 3 packets of cement, so that when Ayiro tries to tell you, please move the topic, change, ningumu. So don't fortify that topic. That topic is tentative. You give me a tentative topic, and you give me introduction to the background of the problem from what we have learned. And then after that, I will go through them, and we shall use the discussion method in class, project everybody's topic. I suggest what I think as we carry on with the literature review, and then walk into chapter 3. You should be seeing where we are going. Where we are going is that I would have wished to finish this course with everybody having some crude proposal, chapter 1, 2, and 3. Even if not 3, chapter 1 and 2. Then 3, I'll persuade the course organizers next semester to give me the same hours on Saturday, just to continue with my chapter 3 with you, so that you have the proposal ready. I play around with it with you, and then leave you for defense with the second supervisor. That's basically the path. Ibrahim, you have something.
Good morning, Prof.
Morning.
I have two things I know.
You are not clear.
I have.
No, I can't hear you. Dr. Maka advises the
Thank you for
candidate.
giving me an opportunity. Okay, good morning.
Okay, good
Good
morning.
morning.
I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay, I have two issues.
Yeah.
One, first and foremost, I wish to appreciate
You can hear
you as a professor for giving me an opportunity to study because I had lost hope. 2 weeks down the line, I'm part of the Vista family right now. I want to tell you that
No, Caro, I can't hear him. Is it my problem?
I thought so. Ibrahim.
No, I can't hear him.
Ibrahim
But
has a problem.
We
yeah,
can have
can I,
someone.
please allow me, please allow me. Let us go through this theoretical and conceptual framework. It's very brief.
It's about the research that you are doing.
Tell him we lost him. I couldn't hear you. I've lost you. Can somebody please take up the reading for me, theoretical and conceptual framework? That is matters for chapter 2, but you must have an idea of this because you're going to write something 1 or 2 pages in your chapter 1 as you wind up. Go ahead. Yes, Joseph, please.
Yes, theoretical conceptual framework. The theoretical conceptual framework is defined as a practice of describing the theory used by the researcher to guide the study. The researcher's choice of well-developed theoretical perspective is grounded in researcher's theory of the focus of inquiry. In describing the theoretical framework, the researcher attempts to provide the theoretical and empirical antecedent to some theoretical perspective, that is Cabre's 2009. The theoretical framework is also called a theoretical base. However, not all dissertation committees require a separate section of theoretical framework in chapter 1. Every school is different, and every school has different policy regarding this first chapter. The theoretical framework provides the foundation for the study based on theory. The theoretical provide the foundation for the study based on theory and the prior research that Long Attell 1985, Brandt 2004, Cabre's 2009, and with the example of 19.5, main key point and direction. These are the main key points that the doctoral researcher should consider when developing a theoretical foundation. Section of chapter 1, find the theory or theoretical model as a basis for the study. Cite the appropriate pivotal sources for each theory or conceptual model. Discuss the basic framework of the theory or concept. Justify the theoretical foundation and framework as relevant to the study. Connect the study directly to the theory and provide a narrative of the connection. Describe how the study will add or extend the theory or model. For quantitative study, have one theory for each variable. For example, use the model. The survey is based on all use the theory or model upon which the instrument is based. Distinguish between the model or theories being used for the research questions and data correction versus the background model and the theories generically relevant to the study. Build a logical argument for how the research questions are developed based on the theoretical foundation for the study.
Okay.
Writing length, minimum of 2 to 3 pages, Miles 2022.
Yeah, very good. Ladies and gentlemen, I am encouraging to begin to appreciate the critical role of the theoretical and conceptual framework. And I am persuaded that the moment you start talking about your variables, they must come from somewhere. They must be grounded in your theory that will build the study. So like Pondo's work, the one we have used today in our class, we are actually going to use the adoption theory to technology. And it gives us all those aspects that we are talking about. And therefore, she's able to construct a conceptual framework. The theoretical framework provides the foundation for the study based on a theory or even previous studies. And just to summarize here, you as the doctoral student, this is what I expect. Find a theory or a theoretical model as the basis of your study. How do you find it? Not going to a magician and sitting on a calabash as he drums your head with a fly whisk. Not by praying 24 hours in the evening. You find a theory by looking at journal articles around the area you have chosen to study. And I will be, as we start looking at your topic and your construction of chapter 1, one of the things I'll be asking you is, as you send me the conceptual framework, and listen carefully, I want you to send me 3 journal articles that relate to your study area. 3 journal articles that relate to your study area. So what are you going to submit to me for me next week is a possible topic, introduction to the background of the problem. I've not asked you to state the problem statement, no, just that. And then I want 3 journal articles from the area where you are interested in. In those 3 articles, please, as if you say, my first article is this is the title, what, indicate the theories in that article. Which theories are in that article? In the 3 articles. So that way, you'll have found a theory or theoretical model. You'll cite the appropriate pivotal, very important sources for each theory or conceptual model. You will discuss for me the basic framework of the theory and how it relates to your study. Not in this assignment. I'm saying now when you're writing your chapter 1. You justify the theoretical foundation and framework as relevant to the study. So I'll want to see how does this theory, if it is the theory of planned behavior and psychology, how does it influence adoption of artificial intelligence and farm performance? So I'll want you to connect the study directly to the theory and provide a narrative for the connection. That is the most challenging part. You describe how the study will add or extend the theory or model. And note for quantitative studies, have one theory for each variable. I would say some of you will be lucky to just have one theory that carries all your variables. Some of you will need 2 theories. Some of you didn't even need 3 theories, although I am reluctant to allow you to do that. And I have the privilege of supervising all of you in chapter 1. So I'll have a say. Distinguish between models and theories, but I don't want you to worry about that for now. But I think for me, build a logical argument for how the research questions are developed based on the theoretical foundation of the study. So you see this literature review business, we are already with it. We even used it to give us the problem statement. And now we are saying this theoretical foundation will give us the research questions for quantitative work. For qualitative work, of course, you know it is observation. You are the instrument, but you will read literature around that area, the phenomenon, whether it is poverty, whether it is mental illness, whether it is circumcision. You read around it and see how research questions were developed. This is where I want you to go. I don't want to rush through assumptions, limitations, and delimitations, and then operational definitions, and we'll have finished chapter 1. Dr. Mwaka, over to you. If you're there. But if she's not there, I would like, therefore, for you to tell me, for you to submit the assignment that I've given. That is one. That means I want topic, I want introduction to the background of this problem. I want you to tell me the 3 articles, and you're not telling me. It means you have to read and annotate, highlight and annotate those articles. So you tell me the articles that you have and what is the theory that these articles are using that you will use. Yes. And NECA, yes, I'm going to send the notes. I'm going to send the notes to you, so don't worry. So that's the assignment. Then next week, you know, we are rushing, not really rushing. I don't want to say I'm rushing. I am pushing you hard because I want to finish. This is another area that brings problems to you, assumptions, limitations, and delimitations. I want to clear that area. And then we go to the literature review. The reading for Magdalene, take note, they're reading chapter 7, reviewing and citing literature. Reviewing and citing literature. And somebody has written a very interesting, oh, it is JK, very interesting. Yeah. Very nice. You should read what he has written in the column. Now, maybe let me read it as part of our class. He says, Prof, in visualizing your sequence as presented, I want to see the process as an inverted pyramid, narrow at the top and broadening at the bottom. That is not inverted. Narrow would be at the bottom, broad at the top. So narrow at the topic, broadening to the research statement, further to the research objectives, and even to the research questions, and then yet further to the subsections, which are your questionnaire. That is good. From the given example, I can see the running thread of the government regulations from the research statement downward. However, it is totally absent in the topic. Somebody has read that over and over. This is one of you. And by the way, you prepare for this circumcision. You are next. So stop dancing out there and laughing. You are the next one. We are going to look at your topic, and we are going to do what we have done to Rhoda's topic. And I think she has a good topic. With all these ideas, she should be able to move very fast, and she's a very strong mind. So the logical flow is clear from the research statement downward, but unconnected to the topic, as it is introduced, as if introducing a problem statement in the topic. Is there a logical disconnect between the intended study and the coining of the topic? That's a PhD mind carrier. So I'm glad you are aware of this. So you should be able to make yours better. And Pauline Nganga, yes. Meta-analysis, yes. Basically the same, but different structures. But if you are interested in that, of course, we will guide you accordingly. So I've enjoyed the class. I have overshot, but bear with me. We were trying to make sure that we actually understand how we will connect our research questions to the purpose, to the problem statement. I want to end there. Unless there's anybody who's not clear about assignments. I think Magdalene is always good to write them a summary of what I expect from them, because these are marks. By the way, like this assignment you're going to do on your topic and introduction to the background of the problem, and then giving me the articles you're going to read and the theory therein. Those are marks. So you are building your marks from the last exam you did. So let's make sure that everybody's getting there. Please read the literature review chapter. I will run through it very fast, showing you how I want it constructed in your proposal. Any issues? Anybody not satisfied? So
Yes.
there be. Yes, Simon.
Just
Yes.
one thing from my end.
Yeah.
I know some of us presented more than one topic. And right now, the assignment that you've given us, you asked us to drill further into the theoretical model and production. So how do we capture that if we are not sure of the topic there? And then number two, I would prefer, I know you've mentioned the type of pedagogy.
Simon, in other words, what am I saying? Please give us one topic. Give us one topic. It will help me to critique the topic. And then it will also help you in being definite about the theory. Yeah?
Okay, then the second bit is, I like the way we are doing the classes. I think you mentioned a certain type of pedagogy that you're using. However, when it comes to assignments, I think it would be wise or better to do it in a methodical manner, because I know some of us, we had submitted the assignment, then the deadline was changed And then some of us also had to recall the assignment that we have submitted. So I find the movement of target of the deadline is not very fair to all of us. Thanks.
That's fair. That's valid. That's fair. Okay, noted. Any other person? Anybody else? Simon, thank you very much.
Prof, this is Magdalene. I had given them a link where they can post their area of research and the topic. And I now, because of the class for today, I will post for them on the e-learning the entire questions for today, so that it overrides what they had shared before, because it is still the same thing. So they can watch out on the e-learning on Monday. I'll have posted all what they need to do, or actually even before Monday, if possible, today and tomorrow, so
Very
that
good.
they can start working on it. Yes.
Class, you are aware of that. I am, by the way, Magdalene, how many returns did we have for the highlighting and annotation we gave them? How many?
By yesterday, 30 of them had submitted before before midday, which was at noon, because that was the closure. But when it was extended for them until, I think, yesterday or end of today for the annotation.
Please let them hand them in. I want to be efficient around evaluation, getting it back, because they're assembling their marks. And, they need to know, this is what I got in the MCQ. This is what I've gotten in this one and that one, as fast as possible. Danisa, please go ahead.
Good morning. Thank you, Prof. For the assignment on our group, our understanding, we got a message from Dr. Mwaka saying our assignment was extended to Tuesday.
Tuesday?
Yes.
She's taking control of my class. How can she do that?
No, Prof. We had we had a challenge on the e-learning, and we had some people who had not been able to submit at that point of time. Not that we had every person, we are actually addressing their issue equally, and we by yesterday, as Magdalene has indicated, we had only 26 submissions, but we realized that the problem was not on the student side, so we did put them up today. So we are hoping that they will be able to submit.
Okay, please submit. I don't want you to be a victim of a poor grades. Yeah, or non-remittance is even worse. Okay, I truly hope that you are convinced that this approach we are using is helping you have a grip on how your chapter 1 will look like. Yeah. Over to you, Mwaka. I think I'll stop there.
All right. Do we have any other area? Just letting you know that if you have any question, you can raise now. But for those who are still asking for the book, we have let you know that we now have a pay bill that you can always buy through the book if you want. If you have not yet bought, we shall be posting it again. Annette Kura, you can ask them. You can, yes.
Thank you, Prof. and Dr. Moka. I wanted to ask now, with the addition of reading the 3 journals and including the theory, do the deadlines still stand, or how is that going to work?
Annette, the work I've just given you is not for next week. Eh? Did I say the work I've given you of your topic, your introduction to the background of the problem, the 3 articles, and you telling me this is a theory, is not for next week. Today is Saturday, so I'm not expecting you to give me before the Saturday class, but the other Saturday. But if you can do it tomorrow, submit it. So can make it clear, Magdalene and Mwaka,
Yeah, we really usually get that kind
not
of
this Saturday, not this Saturday, the coming Saturday, the other Saturday, but the quicker you submit, the better. So I don't want you to feel pressurized. Yeah, yeah.
Prof, when we are trying to, those who are really trying to give more topics, it makes it even difficult for you because you see, you have to do all that. You have to give your theoretical, your conceptual, you have to give your objectives. So don't give so many topics because then it makes it easier and for us, make a decision on where you want to move so that you don't also just want to, it's the VC to choose for you. It isn't just there to choose for you, it's there to help shape up your topics and therefore giving so many options we the class about 88. Please, it will be important that you try to look at that. And of course, if you're doing that, then you have to write a full areas of those topics that you've been asked. If you're giving 10 topics, then you'll have to bring the 10 objectives, 10 statements, and then of course the 10 theoretical and that kind of thing. But there's a lot of confusion for the topics and that you're choosing. We have a Google form for you. Now we don't close that Google form because people do different, like they're coming in on different times. But for assignments, they have a very specific deadline, which will make it very easy for us. And some of you just confuse, and the more you type on the forum, the more you're confusing everybody. We will always screenshot, and which Matkunda does very well, to tell you these are the assignments, and these are deadline. And because some of us don't go to check on the e-learning, we are ambushed by others who are reminding us, oh, we have an assignment in submission. And you make it so difficult for us to be able to start reminding you the assignments, taking you back the e-learning back and forth. As a PhD student, what you always do is, always I have written all my assignments in where I stay, where is my study room, or I pin it on my calendar. There are some assignments that are done in the course of the week, and there are 10 of them from different lecturers. It's important for you, you write down your assignment, and we also have this record for you. If you fail, and usually VC announce assignments at the class, go to this record that we've given you and look at the last record immediately after the class. Go there and start looking through what was the assignment, even for yourself, not just being told. So it's always important that you do that. And since you have your own class, you have your own forum where we are not there, all of you are somewhere on your forum, always discuss there. But let's avoid confusion on the main class forum where people don't know what they're supposed to do. And of course, if you have a challenge of submission, Makunda is always punctual to help you. For example, if your e-learning has a problem, I always tell you, just notify Makunda immediately. Rather than going and asking me, just tell Makunda, I can't submit. Can you give me, or I have submitted the wrong place. Please reverse my work into draft or that. But you also have to give him an easy time so that we don't have to be everybody going back, put back in my draft, recall, that kind of thing. Yeah, so unless otherwise, we wish you well.
I want to get going.
Yeah.
Please note, today is what date? 2 weeks. You must have submitted this assignment that we are giving. The details will be given to you. Ibrahim, I've seen your comment. Magdalene, engage Ibrahim in conversation. We see how to help him. He has just joined us a little late. I just want to emphasize that these assignments are your lifeline. So please make sure they're done well. And Simon, we have taken note of your very genuine concern. I would like to leave, and God bless everybody. See you next week.
All right. See you next week, and bye, everyone. In case of anything, let us know. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah. And when you extend your work,